Hi everyone, morning. I've got a nice class today, well, hopefully a nice class. Try and be a bit more playful in the postures so we're not going to get stuck. So we're going to try and really move into those joints, find a bit of freedom. We're going to start lying down, which is nice, especially when the sun's out like this. So just bring yourself onto the mat and just spend a couple of moments. You can place a hand, two hands on your belly and just join up your breath. So take that breath all the way down to your belly. You can imagine it as a colour, which I quite often like. Whatever colour springs to mind, whatever colour you feel you need today. And just as you exhale, really notice the length increasing and trying to expel all of that tension, frustration, whatever it might be. You can purse your lips and imagine a golden thread in the exhale, just taking it all away. Good. Good. And then just bringing your feet underneath your hips, about hip width apart. You're just going to start playing a bit of movement into the spine, so awakening it. So bring your palms to the side and just pushing through, tapping under the tailbone, pushing through the heels, through the thighs and lifting, drawing the hips up and coming back down on the exhale. So you're just trying to get each vertebrae to work. And you're pushing right the way into the heel, feeling that magnet in between the knees to try and really start to switch on the thighs. Good, and once more. And if you want, you can just stay here for a moment and clasp your hands underneath to just open through the shoulders a little bit more. Push through the heels, really push. Good. And coming back down slowly. Taking your knees with your hands, just rocking from side to side for a moment. And then rocking front to back. You're going to come up to seated. Just bracing, just trying to encourage your core to switch on, finding balance there, and then taking your easy seated pose. Good. Okay, and then you want you to take your arms out to each side. You're going to place one palm, the right palm up to the sky. And you're just going to notice sort of the release of the tension. So as you just switch and just bringing in a little bit of a twist. Good. Just bend a little bit more into the elbows now. And just twist into it. Good. And once more. And then we're going to come back down onto our back through our balance. So into that boat and just rolling back. And you're going to take one knee in towards you. And you're going to take it behind the knee and you're just going to gently push it away, push into your hand and just lift up lift your shoulders, your head, your neck off. So you're just gently bringing that core into play a little bit. Good. Hand swapping sides, pushing that thigh in to the hand, rolling the shoulders back and down so they're not creating tension in the body. Good. And then coming back down, lifting that right leg, helping it if you want to. And you're just going to do a few circles in the hip. So just trying to release through the hip. Good. Switching on the core. Trying to keep every other body part still. Good. And then taking it down, resting it into your thigh, the sole of your foot, and allowing it down just for a moment. Just into that half reclined bound pose. Just release into the hips. Make sure the shoulders are melting into the mat. Good. Taking it long and then bringing the other leg up. Starting with small circles and then gently, if you want, increasing the size, but just trying to keep that stillness within the rest of the body. Good. And then allowing it to rest for a moment onto the in that reclined bound pose. Good. Good. And rolling forward once more. Tiny bit of balance there. Finding the seat bones, stretching tall. Pulling in the core, pulling it up the crown of your head. And then stretching long wherever it might be to you today. Keeping that spine in neutral. And then allowing it to drop forwards. Good. Release the shoulders. Good. Use that exhale to deepen the stretch perhaps. Good. And then take the legs out behind you. Come onto your front. Good. Press the forearms into the mat. Press the hips into the mat. The fronts of your feet. And then you're going to gradually rise into your baby cobra. So glutes on, internally rotate the legs, gaze just in front of you, shoulders back and down, and then come back down. Good. This time perhaps coming up without the use of your arms, so it's an active pose, so taking the arms out in front of you and just noticing you probably won't come as far, and that's fine, but just still internally rotating the legs, switching on the glutes. Good, and then taking it back down. But that's you actively using those back muscles without any help. Good. And then if you want, and it feels right, lifting the toes, the legs, fraction off the ground. And then the head and neck, a fraction off the ground as well if you want. Good. And allowing to rest to the ground. Taking the right foot, pressing the hips into the ground. Taking the left foot if you want, or you can do them one at a time, whatever you want. And just feeling that release through the front of the leg, the thigh. If you want, you can rise up a little, don't push too much. Okay. Open the chest, inhale into the front body. Feel that magnet between the thighs. Good, and roll back down. Good, and you're going to push back into your child's pose, keeping it engaged onto your fingertips. Ears by your shoulders. Good. And then rolling back onto your toes. You're going to take your hands either side of your, just in front of your knees. A little bend in the elbows, and you're just going to rise up on to the tips of your toes, drawing your core on, pressing through the knuckles. Good. Just starting to awaken those arms, and then and then if you want, this time coming back up again a little bit higher, you can take one foot off. Press through the knuckles, not through the wrists, and the other foot. Good, and coming back down. Finding your all fours, so hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, engage the core, and then step that right foot through in between your hands. Open your chest, and just in this kind of a bit of a lizard pose, just get a bit playful there. So you want to roll, perhaps roll through your hips and roll the other way. Perhaps take the sole of the foot off and notice how that feels. We just want to find a bit of a release there. Good. Okay, and then taking the hands back either side, taking it back into your half split runner's lunge. Bring the toes back towards you, and then see if you can take the toes out to the side. So notice how that affects the side of the leg. Good. And then forwards back into that lunge. Good. And then you're going to step through with the other foot. And you're just going to come into your standing forward fold. So just release there. Belly to the thighs. Good. Rising into your flat back. So push your calf, push your shins away. Draw the muscles either side of the spine together. Shoulders back. Good. And as we rise, bringing your feet to about hip width apart. As we rise, we're coming into our chair. So you want to tuck the tailbone under and sit down onto that chair, shoulders down. Inhale and exhale any tension. Good. If you want, you can take the right foot over the left and coming into your eagle legs. So press into the heel of the standing foot, not allowing the toes tension to creep in. Good. Taking it back down. Rising tall with your hands. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale, whooshing it down. Once more. Inhale, whooshing it down. And as we rise this time, coming back into your chair, sinking your tailbone under, down, pulling that tummy in, shoulders down. And then if you want, taking the left leg over the right, drawing the thighs together, sinking your hips. Good. Keep breathing, drop the shoulders. Good. And then coming back down, fingertips to the ground. You're going to rise through the right leg into that standing split, keeping it engaged, dropping into the left leg a little bit, so bending through that knee. Good. Opening the hip, and then you can bring your hands to the left hand side a little bit and just feel that side stretch all the way down the right hand side of the body. Good. Coming back to center, taking the right leg down, and then just finding that lizard pose on the left hand side. So you might want to just play in it for a moment, just opening through the hips, taking them, perhaps the sole of the foot off, and just noticing how that feels. Good. It's quite nice sometimes not to stay still, your mind doesn't wander as much, and we can really free up the joints. Good. Okay, and then taking the hands either side, pulling the toes back towards you, keeping this leg as straight as it will go, but don't worry if there's a bend in it, that's fine. And then as you come into that half splits, you can take your foot out slightly and just notice that stretch down the outside of the leg. Inhale there. Perhaps you want to drop into it a little bit more. Sort of know your body, know how it feels. Good. And then coming back, pressing through the knuckles, you're going to come back into a plank. Good. Onto your knees if you want, that's fine. Good. Push the shoulders wide, find a little bit of length through the spine, push through the back toes, tuck under the tailbone. And then we're going to come through our vinyasa, or just take it to downward dog, whatever you want. Elbows into your side. Good. And take that chest forwards. Inhale into that front body, drop the shoulders back and down. Pull the glutes on. Good. Taking over the toes and coming into your downward facing dog. Good. Onto your knees and push back into your child's pose, keeping it active. Good. And then pressing through into your plank, pressing the toes, pressing the hands, pulling the crown forwards, and then coming onto your right hand, right side of your foot, up into your side plank, drawing the hips up, coming on to that knee, that right knee if you want, open the shoulder. Good, and then if you want to bring in a bit of balance, just bring that foot off the ground, keeping that core engaged. Good. And then coming back into plank, pushing up into your downward facing dog. Good. Releasing the shoulders, playing here, perhaps taking your hips to one side and then the other. Just noticing how that feels. Taking the left leg behind you, pressing it up into the sky, perhaps opening that hip, pressing through the knuckles, keeping an even weight. Good, and then taking it through between your hands, opening that chest. Good. And then stepping the other foot through and rising. Good. And then as we come down, we're coming down onto our fingertips once more. Perhaps, yes, knowing your head to just release into that neck. Taking the left leg behind you, keeping it active, bending into the right knee a little bit. Good. Opening into that hip, bending the knee of the left leg. And then you can come to the right hand side and feel that side stretch through the left hand side of your body if it feels right. Keep breathing here and hopefully enjoying a bit of a release. Good, back to centre. Take that left leg back, inhale into the front body, and then you're coming back into your plank. Good, and this time drop through the shoulders still, bend through the elbows, keep those hips high enough, or not too high. You want a straight line from your shoulders to your heels. You're going to come over onto your left hand and left side of your foot for your side plank. Draw the hips high, open through the chest, and then if you want to bring in a bit of balance, lifting that right leg, drawing up through the hips, don't let them drop. Good. Taking it back to plank, pushing up into your downward facing dog, drawing width through the shoulders. Good. Perhaps stepping the toes forward a little bit and really trying to rest the belly onto the thighs. Good. And you're going to take that right leg behind you and you're coming through into your pigeon. So if this feels right for you, take the right knee to the right hand and then either have your front, the lower leg at 45 degrees, 90 degrees, whatever feels right, back leg you want straight behind you. And then just notice that's a nice stretch in that upper thigh. You can stay here or you can come down into it. Good. Just enjoy this release for a moment. Just do a quick scan of the body, that breath, the colour following round. Just notice if anywhere's still holding tension, sometimes the jaw, the forehead, the shoulders. Yeah, taking your hands back either side. The knee, tucking the back toe over and coming back into your three-legged dog. Good. And then switching legs, left leg up, pressing into the knuckles, finding length through the spine. Good. Bringing it all the way through, left knee to left hand, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, whatever feels right. Just check your back leg is straight and then you can start to fold into it. And enjoy that pigeon. This is one of my favourites. Such a nice release, especially if you've been running. Hiya. Good. Okay, and then taking the hands either side of the knees, tucking over the toes, and then stepping back in to your three-legged dog, drawing the belly up towards the hips. Good, and then taking it back down, rolling the tailbone under into your plank. And we're just going to come to one side again, onto our left side, opening the chest, hips up, bringing that balance in if you want. Good. Taking it back behind you for your wild thing. Inhale into the front chest, into the front body. Back to plank, and then switching sides. Hips up, open the chest, bring that balance in, and take the right foot over. Breathe into that front body, really open up to it. Good. And then back down, knees to the ground. Sink back into your child's pose. Good. And then part your hands slightly. You're going to hover forwards into either your baby cobra or your up dog. Good. That's it. Taking your heels the width of the mat, and just find a bit of a play there as we open up into our squat. One moment of stillness before we sit down onto the mat. Keep that spine nice and tall, draw the crown of your head up. Good. Taking onto your mat, and you want to bring your knees, calves to 90 degrees, arms up to the sky. Just nestle the shoulders back down onto the mat. Draw the core in, belly button to the spine. Good, and then you're going to take your left leg long, your right hand long, and switching sides. See if you can push the spine down into the mat. Good. In your own time, with your breath. Inhale. Exhale. And once more. Good. That's it. And then taking your hands nice and wide, drawing that belly in. You're going to just take your knees to the left. Exhale there. And just try and release out a bit of that tension through the back, through the spine. And then inhale back up and take it to the other side. You can take your gaze to the other side, to the left hand side. Inhale back to centre, and we'll just do that once more each side. Good. If it feels nice, you can take the bottom leg straight, and you can place your left hand on your left knee, and you can gently encourage a bit of that twist if you want, not too much. Good. And then to the other side, straightening that bottom knee if you want, and taking the right hand to the right knee, to the left knee, sorry, if you want. And then taking the soles of your feet together, and we're just going to come up to seated. See if you can draw your hips a little closer to your feet. Rise up and just see if you can have a nice straight neutral spine. Draw the crown out and just feel a little bit of a release through the hips. Come to your easy seated position. Take your hands behind and just lift up onto your knees into a bit of a back bend to draw Your glutes on, core on. Gaze at the sky. Good. And then folding forwards into it. Release the shoulders, release the head, release the neck. Pushing through the seat bones. Rise up. Make sure the head's over the shoulders, over the hips, and draw your arms back towards one another. Your cactus arms, the shoulder blades almost pulling towards one another. And you're going to gently twist in this, so it's an active twist, so you probably won't move as far as you sometimes do when you're encouraging your way round. But just see where you get to. So gazing over to the right, bending, twisting from the base of your spine to your shoulders. Good. And then to the left. Good. That's it. And then just roll through your shoulders. Just release a little bit more. Good. Clasp the hands behind you and just open the chest into it. Good. And then rolling back down. Taking the right leg. Just holding it wherever feels right, the calf, the thigh. And I want you to just press into your hands. Good. And then bring it towards you. Press and then bring it in. Good. And the other leg. So wherever feels right, press into the leg, into the hand, sorry. Press and then bring it in. Just by doing that, actually, it just releases the muscles a little bit more. Keep the other leg engaged. Good. And then allow the legs to the floor, to the mat. Turn those toes out. Palms to the sky. And just give yourself a couple of moments to just be your pause on the day. So just try and be with your own breath. You can picture yourself wherever you want to be. Give yourself this time to just declutter the mind. A few moments before you return to the day, to the rush, knowing that you've had these few moments of peace. Good, and take a nice big inhale all the way down your legs. Exhale deeply through your mouth, those pursed lips. See if you can make that golden thread nice and long. Good, and wiggling your fingers and toes. Coming over onto your left hand side. Moving into your body, noticing what stretches it might still need. And giving yourself a moment. And then sitting back down. Bring your hands to heart center, palms together. Crown of your head tall. Find strength in the body, balance in the mind, and love in the heart. Namaste. Have a lovely day, everyone.